Standing on the top now. No, nothing can move you.
Well, good evening. Welcome to another episode of the Bobby Brown Show on the Go. In my efforts to do my best to help eradicate racism, bigotry, and white supremacy, I'm just one man, and I only can deal with people who I know personally, and I only can use my platform. So let's get this straight. Bigotry is not just one color, but it leans mainly toward one way. But bigotry is what we would call in the faith circle a sin. And sins don't necessarily condemn you. It's the condemnation itself of sinning. There's a difference between condemnation and conviction. Now, from my circles, I am not in the business of condemning. I'm here to convict. But I'm not the judge, jury, or the one that gives the sentence. I'm here to charge you that if I see bigotry, racism, and white supremacy in you, it is up to me as a humanist to share that with you. Now, why would I want to share that with you? Because change is a beautiful thing. And re-educating people on crap that they was educated prior is a beautiful thing. Some people were brought up a certain way. Some people picked up certain habits and traits hanging around the wrong people. You name it. There's some people who are just not teaching people how to be a certain way. You don't have fathers out there teaching sons how to be boys and how to go out there and take care of themselves, hunt, fish, farm. They don't do that no more. Well, they do that in certain circles, but I don't see it much in the black community. Not much. But in other segments of society, they teach their kids how to hunt. They teach their kids how to shoot. They teach their kids how to use an archery bow. They teach them how to farm. On the weekends, they teach their kids, they bring their kids out to go out and shoot deer. Nobody's teaching women how to be girls to be women. So it's easy for, them to get a little confused about whether I am this or that. Now, I'm not talking about people who identify with this now. I'm just for the simple fact that a lot of times you leave it too open for kids to make the choice. When actually kids just need to be having fun and learning how to have fun and learning how to, have parties, slumber parties, and go hunting and go swimming and things like that. Kids should be kids. Now, once they reach to preteen age, it's time to sit down with them and teach them some things that's going to benefit them and better them as a human being. Now, what does this have to do with the subject today? Because in my endeavor to tell the truth, the motto here at the Raw Report, where the truth will not set you free, but it's going to make you free. And we need to know the truth about this because a lot of people walk around here, they're out there marching with Black Lives Matters. They even give into organizations thinking that they're not, based on their actions, they're not bigots, racists, or white supremacists. Them guys can't stand Black Lives Matters. Those guys over there. Those guys over there don't like Asians. They don't like nobody. They only like white. And in their circle, white is right. Those are the bigots, those are the racists, and those are the white supremacists. I told you there's certain levels to this game. There's certain levels, and it's not about parties. It's not about right versus left, because there's racism and bigotry in the left just as much as it is in the right. You got bigotry coming out of blacks, Asian, Latinos, but there's a lot of it come from white. Now, when it comes to racism, when it comes to white supremacy, it's a whole different ballgame. And there's certain people in society that are attached to that ballgame. You got some black people attached to that ballgame. You got some Asians attached to that ballgame. And you definitely got a bunch of whites. You got some media personalities, some sports figures, you name it, all attached to that. All attached to that. Case in point, our story of today, which happened to be give me a moment. Always something, right? Our story of the day. Elite Brits get upset when somebody exposed their bigotry, part 2. Now, recently we talked about Bill Maher and Megyn Kelly. They themselves exposed themselves. There were no black on the panel. Just their conversations, if they were to hear themselves, it was pure racism and bigotry, and upset thinking somebody calling them a racist and bigot when nobody actually called them that on the stage. So there's no need to get offended, but they called themselves that and don't even know it. Based on their reaction. When somebody talk about racism, bigotry, and white supremacy, their reaction goes automatically to the deep end, like somebody was accusing them, and when they're really accusing themselves. And yeah, I accuse Bill Maher, and yeah, I accuse Megyn Kelly because they have the attributes or the symptoms of racism. They may not have full-blown racism like Donald Trump and Jim Crow Joe Biden, where they actually are on purpose doing things to harm people in the black community, as well as other community, but mainly in the black community. Sure, they're not showing that symptom, but they still have little symptoms. And I went over the little symptoms dealing with those two, Megyn Kelly, Bill Maher. Then I went over the symptoms when the special report with Oprah Winfrey with Meghan Markle and Prince Harry came out, and how Piers Morgan got offended. And they had it had Megyn Kelly on that show. And I'm like, why is her bigoted racist behind on the show that got to do with England? It ain't got nothing to do with American affairs. But here they are doing the same thing that her and Bill Maher did. Piers Morgan showed himself out. All his racist symptoms came out. He cannot believe he's sick with racism. He's in denial. And it takes friends, it takes people who probably had it before and probably was cured, if there's a cure for it, to go back and tell people this can happen. Now look, let me bring myself back up. As you can see, I'm slimming up. My face is slimming a little bit. I dropped some pounds. Dropped about 15 pounds in a month. I'm doing plant-based eating. What sold me on plant-based eating? The many documented evidence of what it does for you. My blood pressure was off the chart. My A1C was off the chart. My cholesterol was off the chart. I wasn't feeling too good. My back was always hurting because I'm carrying this big gut. I didn't exercise. I ate a lot of junk. And then when I went to the doctor's office, the doctor said, bruh, get rid of that gut, eat better. If not, you're going to be like most of the people around here, dead in the grave. Then I did a study and found out majority of Americans have not diabetes. A lot of them have diabetes, but a lot of them have high blood pressure, mainly because we have subscribed to what we call SAD. SAD is the standard American diet. Once I find out what SAD was, I'm like, I'm sad that I ate this. So I was going into keto. And then I looked at the studies of keto. Yeah, keto do the job. I did keto before. Man, dropped the pounds quick, fast, in a hurry. My blood levels was a little bit better, but my veins it wasn't helping my vein. It wasn't reversing my veins, the crap that I put into my veins, it wasn't reversing the crap that I was putting in my heart, and it wasn't helping. It was the whole thing that wasn't helping, but it did cause me to lose weight so fast that people thought I was sick. So I said I didn't want to do that because it doesn't overall help you with your health based on studies from medical doctors. True medical doctors, those that's trying to help people, not somebody trying to make money. So my doctor said, look, why don't you try a plant-based diet for 90 days? I'm telling you, it's going to do wonders for you in less than a month. In 90 days, you're going to be golden. But in about a month, you're going to see a lot of turnaround if you stick to it. Study on plant-based. So I did. I started studying on plant-based, and I started seeing the symptoms go away. A1C is great. Cholesterol is great. High blood pressure is back to normal. Hemoglobin, all that stuff. In less than a month. I lost 15 pounds in a month. I'm exercising more. I'm doing 5 miles a day. I feel a whole lot better than I was before. I'm getting my 8 hours sleep. And I've been doing mostly plant-based. Once in a blue, I do turkey. Now, what does this have to do with anything? Well, when I showed the symptoms of high blood pressure and possible cardiac issues and my veins and stuff like that, I saw the symptoms. I needed to get some help. And somebody told me the truth. And then he gave me some advice to help me get that out of my system. And that's what you have to do with your friends. If you see symptoms of racism, bigotry, and white supremacy in them, you need to go to them in love. In love. Not condemning. Not convicting. See, they convict themselves. And when you convict yourself, condemnation comes. The purpose of condemnation is so you can realize you're wrong. And your job is to get the condemnation off you. Not to ignore the fact that you're showing these symptoms, but do whatever you can health-wise to get rid of the symptoms for good. Kind of find out plant-based diet reverse everything from type 2 diabetes, your heart disease, to a whole bunch of things, because your mouth is not like your cat, dog, blah, blah, blah. I'm not preaching the gospel of plant-based eating. That's just what I do. I still, once in a blue, do a little turkey here and there, but eventually I'm going to come 100% off. But the whole point was I had symptoms of going down the wrong direction with my health. The doctor had to tell it to me like it is, and he didn't sugarcoat. Scared me. Fear loss got me to change my habit. And that's what you have to do. Sometimes you have to not sugarcoat, but do it in love as much as you can to let people know you're dealing with racism and bigotry. How you know? Because I was dealing with it. So let's get in the story. All right, so Sharon Osbourne is real close friends with Pierce Morgan. Almost like family. Hey, Brits, look out for Brits. They are both rich. One's in media. The other one got in media because of the show about her husband, which was a pretty good show. I liked the show. Matter of fact, I am and I'll tell you the truth, always been an Ozzy Osbourne fan. In my teenage years, you know, I love my funk, I love my Michael Jackson and Prince, but I was a hard rocker and I hung around hard rockers. You name it, from Crocus Dio, Black Sabbath, Iron Maiden, you name it. Judas Priest, you name it. I was into it. I was into Def Leppard, you name it. I was into it. I was into rock more than I was into pop in the 80s. But then I got tuned on to Public Enemy and, you know, BDP, KRS-One, all. I mean, then I kind of weaned myself away from rock. But I know Ozzy Osbourne music, had his records, and I was a big fan. You know, music was creepy, but I was living it. I was living it. Eating the bats, the whole 9 yards. Same thing with Alice Cooper. Big fan of Alice Cooper. So she got her wealth off her husband. Then she began to accumulate her own wealth from the things that she got after the show, because she really carried the show. Ozzy didn't carry the show. Her daughter really carried the show too. Well, her friend began to display symptoms of racism, and somebody called them out on it, including the entire world. And she's highly upset. She's highly upset that people actually believe that her racist friend, her good friend, her dear, lovable friend that she's known for decades, let's say just a decade, he's not a bigot. He can't be a bigot. I've known him. I would have seen that he's a bigot. You can't see that he's a bigot if you haven't experienced bigotry and racism yourself. And it's hard for you to experience that because of what they call white privilege. No, it's just you're part of the so-called dominant society, and your society pretty much did one thing: dominate. And they used the throne of England to finance world domination and capitalism, and using capitalism to dominate. And that's how Britain became so wealthy. The United States moved over and started to do the same thing that the Brits do. Matter of fact, the Brits financed people to come to America and do business in America. And it's just a whole host of things. And people got brutalized and dominated as a result of that. And they made the brunt of the money. And the people down at the bottom didn't make anything, especially those in America, because they got free labor off of them. Capitalism is one of the driving powers of racism. You remove capitalism, it's hard to maintain white supremacy once you drain it of money. Not anything in society can last without money, but white supremacy definitely cannot last in society without money. That's why they fight so hard to hold on all they can and can what they can get. So she's offended because you're clearly not talking about my good friend Pierce. I've known Pierce all my life. He's not a bigot. Tell me what he said, bigot. Let's listen to Sharon Osbourne. And let me say this first. I got to say this every time. Fair use. In good faith, this work contains fair use of copyrighted and non-copyrighted images from the public domain. The Chew is a public domain television show. And the web for non-commercial or non-profit educational purposes. This is non-commercial. This is non-profit. But this is an educational purpose. The work is distributed free of charge. I'm not charging anybody to look at this video. This is not in no members only page or nothing like that. I don't even really do that much. I got one, but I don't do it that much. The author has neither monetized, and that's me, this work, nor saw any profit from its distribution. I am not monetized this. This is off monetization. I don't do that no more. YouTube has always been unfair and not giving me good coverage. They throttle me. They got me on a what they call a blacklist. They're making sure people don't see my videos. That's why I tell people the most important thing you can do is subscribe, like, and share. Don't worry about giving me a donation on the Patreon page or donating to the PayPal. It's good you do it. I appreciate it. Don't get me wrong. But my number one focus is just like, share, and subscribe. And hit the notification bell and make sure it's on always. Copyright disclaimer on this section 107, YouTube and all you fools over there in social media. Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976 says allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism. I'm going to critique this. Comment. I'm going to comment on this. News reporting. I'm going to report some news on this. Teaching. I'm here to teach. Scholarship. Got nothing to give. Research. Doing my research. Fair use is a use permitted by the copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. But for me to paraphrase it, it's not because of how I'm doing this. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips to balance in favor of fair use. So I'm letting you know again, you idiots, and if you keep doing this, I'm going to file a lawsuit against you, a civil suit. And I might bring some people on board to do a huge class action lawsuits. So this include the people who work for Google, who Google don't give a crap about. Watch what you do, because I will find out you doing this. So you better check what you do on these videos. I'm not tolerating this no more. And the same goes for those fools on Facebook. I'm not tolerating this. I had to deal with one about the Bill Maher video. HBO management saying you don't have the right to use none of this stuff. Well, according to fair use, I do, because I'm commenting and I'm not profiting off of this. This tips the balance in favor of fair use. This work contains original work of commentary and critical analysts. Quotations are attributed to the original authors and sources. Now, this is coming straight from either one TV show talking about the talk, or the talk itself. Now that I got that out the way, let's get into it.
So I really would like to know, because I've been knowing you for years since I've been here, and I've never seen anything come out of you other than, if I don't know, I'm willing to learn. If it comes off a certain way, I stand corrected.
Right.
Now, this is from E.T., who happened to show the original clips, but you're not striking them, which is also CBS, which also Global. Now, CBS have a habit of doing this, so I'm clapping back at CBS. And just to make sure, let me put this up here, because even though it's fair use, I should be able to play the whole video in front of everybody and commenting, stopping and commenting like I do. These fools still going to try to strike me, and Google usually take their side. And I'm telling Google now, you got a lot of money, Google. I want some of it. Violate this law, and I will sue you for breaking this law. Now, like I said, one of the things that white supremacist media do is when somebody that's white, racism come out, they go into panic mode and try to cover up and try to deflect, and they use a black person to do it. Megyn Kelly, we had old roly-potent House Negro himself covering up for Megyn Kelly. He even say, I don't think you're racist. Well, you're an idiot, Roland Martin. Ice Cube had to do that for Bill Maher. Now, Cheryl Underwood has to do this for Sharon Osbourne. And honestly speaking, it's pathetic. And it's a shame. And shame on you, Cheryl, for doing that. You ain't got to cover up. You ain't got to make them feel good. I mean, you could talk to them in love, but you need to be firm on what it is. Because she's highly offended, and she's angry, and she's looking at you. Let me take this out so you can see the look on her face. She is clearly pissed off. Now I'm going to calm down and continue with this. Just pray for me, because I can get red in the face. And I've been doing good with my blood pressure. Very good. Let me go back to this.
That's the only thing I've seen.
Yeah.
So what would you say to people who may feel that while you're standing by your friend, it appears that you give validation or safe haven to something that he has uttered that is racist?
Now, the question wasn't, you're racist. The question is, what do you think people will think about you? Let's just get out of the way, for covering up for him, for trying to protect your friend. Why you can't just be quiet? But that's my friend. I gotta say something. Y'all wrong about my friend. How we're wrong? You can't identify. Nobody really educates you on identifying racism, bigotry, and animosity. No, what are the symptoms of a white supremacist? Nobody educated you in London. Nobody's educating people on that, but there need to be some education on it. See, we all have been educated on how to be a certain way. And what's in us, stay in us. There's a scripture of old said, train them up as a child in the way they train up something. It's a shame it's slipping me. Train a child in the way he should go. And when he's old, he will not depart from it. You're supposed to train a child in the way he should go. Problem is, you're training him to go this way when he should be going the opposite direction. When he's sitting in the living room and hearing you and Uncle Buck talk about those doggone slanted-eyed Asians, he's got some black people do the same thing. I can't stand them crackers. Or honky, as the word George Jefferson say, honky, wetback. You training the child in that. You may not be telling him that in his face, but he's around hearing that, and they pick up real quick. You're in the back seat, and you talking about Niagara's make me sick. You go full Clayton Bigsby on in the car, and forgot you got your child in the car. Hey, you jungle buddies, turn that music down. Niagara's make me sick. Boogity boogity Niagara. Boogity boogity Niagara. Hey boy, you're in the wrong part of town. That's right. Tell them Niagaras. Now the question is, how do you feel when people get on you for covering up from them? Now watch this. If I can get ET not to say nothing, because I could not find the original full clip.
Even if you don't agree, am I saying it right? Okay, am I saying?
I don't know what he's uttered that's racist. I'm not trying to slide out of this one.
Right.
I don't know. Tell me, what has he uttered that's racist?
Now, this is where Cheryl must educate her that racism isn't always about what you say. Racism is more what you do than what you say. You can be a person that don't utter a racist word out of your mouth, but your actions and reaction can send signals that I'm a racist. Or as I like to call it, your symptoms of racism can come out. And Piers Morgan clearly showed his symptoms of racism. And the fact that Meghan Markle would not be buddy to buddy, chummy chummy, booty call buddies with him, he's offended. He's offended that she got the nerves to be putting her mouth on the throne of England, bringing shame to the throne. Look, y'all need to stop falling in love with these celebrities. I don't care if you do meet them and eat them and have breakfast with them. Look, I've sat and had coffee and donut with what's his name, Michael Steele. I've met plenty of politicians and pal around. I talked to stars, sat in park, chit chat with stars in Central Park. Man, I ain't no starstruck. You're a human being just like me. I don't care who you are. I see it in you. I'm gonna call it out. Because I have to. I'm not going to let you continue to suffer knowing I see you have symptoms of HIV or symptoms of COVID or symptoms of a sickness, and to ignore it and let you go without letting you know, bro, you need to go get yourself checked out, man. That don't look good. You might have. Go get yourself checked out. Now let's hear Cheryl's response.
Wednesday's episode.
All right, so the Chew is going to talk. Let's see if we can get them.
It's Cheryl Underwood.
Okay. Now, Sharon Osbourne said in a tweet, Piers Morgan, I am with you. Hold up. You're with him on the fact that instead of understanding and sympathizing and showing empathy for Prince Harry, for his wife, and for, they didn't name him yet, but should be Prince Archie, he 100% side with the family and want to cover up for the family. And he's offended because she didn't name anybody, not understanding there's a purpose reason why she ain't gonna name nobody. And one of them is that's still that boy family. He still got to deal with that family. She can ride off in the sunset and leave him and say, I can't take this no more, I'm getting divorced, and leave him. He still got to deal with that family, and you know that family gonna come in and tell some real hard truth. I told you about that black girl. I told you. See, she done left you, because that's what black people do. And Pierce Morgan would have sat there and say, yep, that's what she do. She have a problem with people leaving her, so she decided to do the same thing, because he already said it on the show. I stand by you, says Sharon Osbourne. People forget that you're paid for your opinion and that you're just speaking the truth. All right, that don't even sound right. People forget that you're paid for your opinion and that you're speaking the truth. Well, if you're getting paid for your opinion, Sharon Osbourne, then that could be a valid reason to not speak the truth. Because most of you people with these shows and in news media, you're told what to say in order to get that great pay. Well, let me keep going.
with Pierce and even lashed out at Cheryl. Take a look.
I feel even like I'm about to be put in the electric chair because I have a friend who many people think is a racist, so that makes me a racist.
Nobody told you that. So she's trying to get, and this is what they do. This is the reason why we got Megyn Kelly went on Bill Maher's show, supposed to be a Democratic leaning show or left show. It's not. She goes on his show and she claims the same thing. People try to make me seem like I'm a racist because I don't agree with the teachings in the schools. Baby, you done set that cell a long time ago when you was over there at Fox News. So people know you are. You know, so, and I don't care how many black friends you claim that you have, which is another excuse to wallow in your racism. Or if you talk about my wife is black, that don't mean you ain't a bigot, man. Get out of here. She's trying to get some sympathy. I feel like I'm in an electric chair. Why do you feel like you're in an electric chair? You can say you feel like you're in a hot seat because you're covering up for your boy. You need to have a talk with your boy and holler at your boy. But it takes somebody, and this shouldn't be just Cheryl. The other people on the show should be able to really, really talk to her and let her know how he exhibits symptoms of racism. To the point he went full-blown racism and stormed off the doggone show because I don't want to hear nobody accuse me of being a bigot or accuse me of having a relationship with a black girl. Cheryl Underwood is there to not really expose her. She's there to cover up for her. How do you know? Because the same thing happened all the time. At the end of the day, they got to say, I don't believe you're racist. Instead of saying, look, I got to tell you, your boy got some racist tendencies. You may have some racist tendencies and you don't know it, or symptoms. Let me explain to you the symptoms. One of them is getting offended when somebody talk about racism, bigotry, and white supremacy. Two, taking it personal. Taking it personal. Same thing for those white people who get offended when you start talking about reparation. What my family ain't on no slaves. You don't know that. Number one. Number two, this ain't got nothing to do with you. It's the federal government. They owe us the money. They promised the money and they never paid. And they paid everybody else out on certain things. The Japanese, the Soon it's going to be the Asians, whole Asian community with this violence thing that's supposed to be going on. They have paid out so many people, but haven't paid black people yet, and they the one they robbed the most. I'm about to mess with some of you racism. I'm about to expose some of you racism right now. If you are the type of person that squirm and get offended when I say progressives, I know you want $15 an hour minimum wage. I know you want no cost education. I know you want no cost health care. But to demand the country to fund something when they owe the black community, if they do fund it, that's the same as stealing. It's like me owing the finance company $10,000. If I ignore that finance company and the money I owe them, and I go out there and buy a car, that is wrong. A $10,000 car. That is wrong. The only way you could get that $10,000 car if you had to pay cash or you had to put at least $2,000 down, but you owe these people money. You're right now crying because you got these bank loans and you want them paid off. You took the loan. And I understand you were promised a career to pay these off, but you took the loan. Most people go join the military or whatever to get the money to pay for their schooling. But you took the loan. To say I want you to pay my debts and not say you owe black people hundreds of years ago, you need to pay their debts first, then come talk. See, that's a person of integrity. But if that irritates you, me telling you that to demand, and I know a lot of people don't want to hear that, demand these things knowing it's going to cost money, knowing you can get the money by shaving off certain programs, the federal government need to pay their debt to black people before they start financing anything. And they can't say they don't have the money because they came up with money for COVID, paying the flight companies trillion. They came up with $1 trillion out of their behind, and they owe black people at least $10 trillion. If that irritates you, then that's a symptom. Because you know it's true. A person of integrity will pay their debts before they start spending money and investing in something else. All right, let's keep going.
And for me, at 68 years of age, to have to turn around and say, I ain't racist. What's it got to do with me?
Well, you're the one commenting on your tweet. And 65 years old still don't mean you can't be a racist. You can't sit there and claim, I ain't a racist, when you don't know the attributes of a racist. See, you've been told that the attributes of racist is Trump and his belligerent racist mouth and his racist base and storming the Capitol and the Oath Keepers and Proud Boys and all that. And you know, that's just organized white supremacy. There's a difference between organizing it and there's a difference between being one. And there's a difference between being one on purpose, knowing it and embracing it. And there's a difference between one who have symptoms of it. They got it. They got the package. You can have all kind of disease and don't show symptoms for it right away. But let me keep going.
Okay, how can I be racist about anybody? How can I be racist about anybody or anything in my life?
I mean, this is so funny as it's sad. So funny that it's sad. How can you not be? How can you not be racist? How can you not be Sharon Osbourne? Tell me what you have done, or tell me something in you to prove that you're not a racist. And I could tell you, based on reactions of certain things that I say or certain things that I do, it'll come out of you and you won't even know it. Now, this is what she said to Cheryl.
How can I?
I
Well,
tell you,
what?
Look how she's she's fuming. Fumigating. Number one, nobody said you was racist. Did anybody say she was racist? From what I heard, nobody called her a racist. We just wondering why you trying to cover up your friend who demonstrate racist reactions. Racist reactions, racist tendencies, racist symptoms. Now, this is what Cheryl came at.
we'll be right
Well,
back.
what?
We have more topics, so don't go away.
And I think we should stop this.
And she think we should stop this what? Foolishness? Why? Because we're exposing it so we can eradicate it? There's nothing wrong with that. You got to admit, if you're on drugs and you want to get off drugs, you got to go to the place and admit that you're on drugs or admit that you're alcoholic. You realize that people say, look, I could stop this myself. Bro, you can't stop that yourself. Now, there's some people can hold their liquor. There's some people can smoke weed and nothing. But there's some people, it's a habit. It is, they live and die by it. They get depressed, they go get it. Some of them get it, they can't focus on, they can't even have a good day at work. They put a little bit in their coffee. And y'all won't know it. And you clearly see he's drunk. And to not stop him and say, bruh, I know you're drinking. You're not right. You got to clean this up, man. You're going to lose your job. That's what a real friend do. And clearly Cheryl is half-assing this thing. She's covering up more than exposing and telling her the symptoms of racism.
I will ask you again, Cheryl.
Yes.
I've been asking you during the break. I am asking you again. And don't try and cry, because if anyone should be crying, it should be me.
Now, how in the hell, heaven, whatever you want to go, why should you be crying? You're already crying in the first place because somebody is calling you out on you protecting your friend who displayed racist reactions, racist tendencies, racist symptoms on a high level when you start talking about his precious love for the queen and the throne and the people of Buckingham Palace. Good friends of his. I think they knighted him. They gave him something that made him even extra defensive. As she say, he's a royalist, which is a loyalist to the queen. Now, the reason Cheryl is probably crying because it's probably hard because her media masters probably told her, we need you to educate her without condemning her and do whatever you can to make her feel good and look good in this segment. And I'm like, bruh, I can't do it, man. I don't know why. I can't. I'll walk off the show before I do that. Because now she want me to feel guilty. She's pointing the finger at me. Oh, you don't believe me? Let me bring this up. She's literally pointing the finger at her and condemning her. You've known me all this time. We've ate together. We had lunch together. We go shopping together. You know me all this time. Was I racist towards you? Bruh, it ain't about that. Smart racists are so low, so incognito and stealthy, you don't know it. They smile in your face. They embrace you, love you, kiss you on the forehead. They kiss your little kids. They'll even hire blacks on the staff to hide behind their racism. You can't say I'm a racist. I hire mostly black people. That got to do with anything. She's clearly upset. Now, let me keep going. I know y'all said, Ralph, stop talking. I have to do this because of fair use. Okay? Hang in there.
This is the situation.
Yes.
You tell me where you have heard him say, educate me, tell me when you have heard him say racist things.
Now, I'm glad she's open to education. We need more people like that. Educate me. Now, once we educate you, are you going to storm out the classroom like Pierce did? Because clearly you're frustrated. But let's educate her. Cheryl, tell her.
Educate me, tell me.
It is not the exact words of racism. It's the implication and the reaction to it. To not want to address that because...
Now that's facts. Still a little more to it. Still a little more to it, Cheryl.
Because she is a black woman, and to try to dismiss it or to make it seem less than what it is, that's what makes it racist. But right now, I'm talking to a woman who I believe is...
Now, she explained to her exactly what I explained. I would add to not be empathetic and sympathetic. To totally rule out that this could be true. To totally rule out that somebody could have, to totally rule out, totally say, look, you can't get mad because she didn't name anybody. There's a valid reason why she can. I understand you upset because now you feel like you cannot rule nobody out. And somebody told you, Prince Harry or one of them told you that the Queen and Prince Philip were not the ones to do it. That doesn't mean they were not the ones to do it. This could have came from one of those two into the mouth of Prince Charles or whoever and told to Harry. This probably didn't originate from Prince Charles. It could originate from Prince, the Queen. It could originate from Prince William. Into the mind of Prince Charles. Just because Prince Charles said it doesn't mean somebody didn't talk to him about it, and he went to decide to go talk to his son about the situation, which proves his bigotry. Pierce want to rule the king and the queen and the prince out. He want to rule the queen and her husband out because they surely can't be that way. Now, don't get me wrong. I mean, Prince Philip's mother is a missionary, and she done a lot to try to help the world, but this ain't about his mama. It's about him. It's about his wife. It's about those grandkids. It's about the kids. It's about Prince Charles. It's about Prince William. It's about it's about Prince Harry.
My friend, and I don't want anybody here to watch this and say that we're attacking you for being racist.
So here we go. I told you sooner or later, the black woman job is to apologize, to cover up, to pamper, to beautify the person who is irate on the stage and upset. Bad enough when they want to have a talk or subject on racism, the black person always started off, and it gives validation to the other people to chime in of different colors. It's the same thing going on here. The Asian woman chimed in, the Latino woman chimed in, but the black woman started the conversation, and it's going to make the white lady feel comfortable. And this is a subject that it's not about comfortability. It's about exposing so we can fix it. You got symptoms, man. You got purple blotches. Your glands are poked out, look like two breasts. Bro, you got to get that checked out. Your skin is flushed. You don't look good. Your eyes dilated. Handle that, bruh. You're sick. and you need cured. You need to be helped. And that's what this situation is.
And for that, if I articulated
I think it's
anything,
too late. I think that seed's already sown.
But that is.
She's still upset. It's too late for you to try to protect and beautify me. The world hates me now. Nobody wasn't even thinking about your behind until you made that tweet. A lot of people who have symptoms of racism when people talk about racism, they get uneasy, they get queasy, and they'll get offensive, and they'll take it personally. Nobody up here called her a racist because they were talking about Pierce. But her reaction exposed her own racism. Let me keep going. We're almost done.
Why I'm saying for me. I'm saying for me. I thought I was asking a question about the perception for other people. That's why I prefaced it with, I've never heard you utter anything racist, but I have.
Look, she's trying to cover her, and she's still crapping on her. See, this is why it pays for you not to cover. This is why it pays for you to continue to expose what little trace it is. I don't care if it's a little bit bump to a big bump. You need to find out what's going on. I got a bump on my head, right? And everybody can say, man, you need to get that checked out. Come to find out, it was calcium. And I need to go to a doctor to get them to shave the calcium down in my forehead. But I had a symptom. People saw something, that they saw the bump on my head, and they cared enough to ask me about the bump on my head because they thought you might have some, Rob. So I said, I'll go check it out. Come to find out, I forgot what they call it, but it's calcium in your head that comes from the bump. It could arise from, I did hit my head on something, and it could have came out of that. But it can be shaved down. Honestly, I don't have the $4,000 to have the dermatologist to go in there and shave it down, but it could be shaved down. But somebody was concerned that I might have had a symptom of something and I need to be checked out. They wasn't going to cover up for me and say, yo, don't ignore that, man. Man, you need to go get that checked out. Cheryl is trying to cover up for this lady, and she's still getting upset.
But I have felt that Pierce was racist in his stance against Meghan Markle. And the last time he was on this show, I said as much. I said it when he was on this show.
And what was his answer to you?
He didn't feel that. He didn't.
It don't matter what the heck his answer is. His answer do not prove whether he's have symptoms of racism or he just got full-blown racism to the point where it's out there now and he can't come back. It doesn't matter what he say. It doesn't matter what you believe. It doesn't matter what he believe. It doesn't matter what you say or what he say. When you react like that, it shows your symptoms. You got racism in you. You got hatred. I mean, not hatred. You got racism and bigotry in you. And just like any sickness, once you find out you got something and you know it's not healthy, you go do something to get rid of it. And you got to allow people to talk to you about these things and give you the doggone truth, whether you like it or not, so you can get rid of it and stop being so freaking offensive. Who the heck are you to tell me I got high blood pressure, doc? I ain't got no high blood pressure. All right, keep thinking you don't and keep eating like you do and keep eating like you're doing and keep doing the things that you need to do. Keep drinking coffee once an hour and keep getting espresso in the coffee once an hour. Keep eating that high sodium stuff, oodles and noodles. And when you drop dead, you can't come look at me. But I can say I told him you need to get it right. And Shirley's trying to tell you the same thing.
feel that it was racist. He didn't feel that the racial statements that he was making were racist. But I was talking to him.
Okay, answer me this one, okay? Because I don't know. I don't understand. If he doesn't like someone, and I think this is for everybody who is born white, if Piers doesn't like someone and they happen to be black, does that make him a racist?
No.
No.
And I agree with that, but this ain't that situation. We know Piers had a little love thing for Meghan Markle, and he got the cold shoulder. He wanted some of the boom, boom, boom and the ta-ta-tas, and he couldn't get none of that. She gave him the cold soldier. So, yeah, he feel rejected. Saying don't like, he was rejected. Now, he's really mad because she rejected him. She probably thought he was the best thing for her. I'm Piers. I'm well-renowned media personality. I'm rich, and, you know, we can go places. Well, she got her own career playing on Suits, Atrix, on 9 Yard. To see her get with Harry and get married and become part of royalty, you know that made it even worse. And the brother on his show told him that, and he stormed off. But that's not what we're dealing with here, Sharon. The thing is, he's not sympathetic and empathetic and don't believe nothing she has to say or nothing, and got mad. And he actually believed that she's controlling Prince Harry. When a lot of this stuff came from Prince Harry. He's mad because she won't expose, not knowing that there's valid reasons. Let me close with all that kind of stuff.
That's a no.
No.
Right. So...
She was going to say, but you don't let her close this thing out. You close this thing out. You got the Asian woman who right now, her community is going through Asian, as they say, hatred. You got the black woman, ADOS woman, who entire, I think she's ADOS, who entire legacy is racist bigotry, white supremacy, brutalization, rape. I can go on and on and on for hundreds of years. Free labor for capitalism. Back-breaking labor. Silent. And they letting her close this thing out when they should have been closing her thing out by her nodding her head saying, I understand now. But no, that's not happening here.
Why can't it be he just doesn't like her? Why does it have to be racist?
So she's kind of trying to cover. She's trying to give him any other excuse. He just don't like her. No, it's more than that. Let's see what Cheryl got to say before this thing close out.
It's almost like, oh, I'm sorry, Cheryl.
No, you go
it's
ahead.
almost like yesterday when you were talking, Mrs. O, it sounded like he was really upset about, what you were saying is a royalist. Like, he is just so, like, deep into...
Yeah.
And of course, you got the white lady trying to use the royalists as an excuse. The nerves of you to dump on my queen. Fool, she ain't your queen. That's Prince Edward, Queen. That's Prince William and Prince Harry's grandmother. I understand you got a connection to them. I understand she may have knighted you and you're a royalist, but you're human first. And you got to understand, you got to have some kind of percentage that these accusations could be more true than not.
Yes.
Honoring the crown and honoring, and do I agree with what he said? No, like you.
No, I
Do
don't
I
agree.
think he should have walked off set? No. Do I think he should have sat there and listened to his other co-hosts like we're doing right now and having a conversation and learning from each other? I think that's what evolution, corrective evolution is about.
All right, so in closing, This shouldn't have been closed out this way. This should have been closed out with some education and getting her to understand things about racist reactions. Get her to understand how you can recognize racism in yourself. Because I had to recognize certain things that were going on with me, and once it came up, I dealt with it. I had people to tell me, Rob, bruh, it's big. You're racist, man. You're sexist, man. You're bigger in these areas, man. It's not going to do well for you as a human. You need to learn how to get rid of that stuff. And that's what I did. That's what I did. And I'm still working on it. I'm not perfect, nowhere near perfect. But the fact of the matter is, you can't coddle. You can't make excuses, and you can't baby, and you can't rub them on the back. Oh, it's okay. It's not okay. Rubbing a person and coddling them is not okay for them to stay home when you see that they got symptoms of a sickness and disease, when you see that they barely can breathe, when you see that they having these fevers in the middle of the night. Now, you can't go pat them or nothing like that unless you got on gloves and you got a mask on. But you got to let them know, bro, you got a symptom of this. Either two things. You're going to have to go get yourself in quarantine. But I wouldn't even tell a person to quarantine when they're having huge symptoms. You need to get something right away, man. You had symptoms. That's why I'm a proponent of early treatment for COVID. They always had early treatment for COVID. They just wasn't telling you because they're trying to make money for these big pharmaceutical agencies with a vaccine. And you're looking at living witness right here. Had COVID, had high fever, my chest was seizing up. I took a regimen, and in 24 hours or less, the fevers went away, my chest opened up. In less than 10 days, I'm COVID free. They always had regimens, medication to treat COVID. The problem is you can't make a lot of money on old medication. And they'll shame one part of the medication, not understanding there was a multiple of the medications, more than one medication, and you have to give it to them early, and you have to give it to them in low dosage. But they fluff that up and make everybody scared of this, all to lead them to a vaccine, because the whole point was we want to bring money to the pharmaceutical industry, and we don't want the federal government, we don't want the people to pay for it because they couldn't pay for it anyway, but we can come up with a bill and give them money. All these medications are emergency use medication. Vaccines are emergency use medication. In other words, it's still pretty much a trial. But it's okay. You know, you got the symptoms, go get something to treat yourself. If you believe these medications to treat yourself, go for it. I know if something, you know, if it happen with me again, which I doubt it, I know that I continue to use what fixed me the first time, and it's more safer and more effective. It has a 98% efficacy on it, proven by major hospitals. So the whole point of this is when you got symptoms of racism, or if you see somebody have symptoms of racism, you have to take the time out to explain to them. And it's good you have somebody open. But you can't let them get away making you feel bad when you start explaining to them you got symptoms of this, and I'm telling you, you got to work on it, and you got to get it out. You got to eradicate it out of your life. It's not going to help you going forward. Stop being offensive, because he who take offense, you never go nowhere taking offense. Because every time you take an offense, it's going to be hard for you to move forward because you got a whole arm powerful. You've been thrown under a bunch of fences. All right. I'm Robert Brown with the Bobby Brown Show. This is necessary. This is necessary. If you care about people, care about life, and you want to see a more blossom world of humanity where we're loving each other, embracing each other, especially our own personal community, then we got to deal with it from our own community to other community. It's not good to let people continue to walk around with symptoms of sickness and not tell them. Because for you to do that and they die, you should take responsibility for their death. I'm Robert Brown with the Bobby Brown Show. I'll holler at you later. Peace.